Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well. My name's William. Welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Today we're going to be doing an FSEconomy flight in the TBM 930. Picking back up in South Africa, we'll be flying on to Botswana today. A longer flight, high-paying job, should be fun and interesting new terrain at least to fly over as well. So let's go ahead and get on into the planning so we can get on with the flight. I hope you all enjoy. Start off on the FSEconomy site here. You can see our job is loaded up 860 nautical miles, almost to the north, 6 passengers paying $12,800. We have 219 gallons of Jet A on board the TBM, and that should be plenty for our flight, and also still it leaves us capable of taking the 6 passengers with a little bit of cargo remaining as well, so we're not completely loaded up. But that's pretty much it as far as FSEconomy. Now then, we'll just take a look to see what the flight looks like. Airport's not in Sky Vector, so this is kind of just the general path that we're going to take. Like I said, 860 nautical miles. We're almost going directly up into the north into Botswana here. And our field that we're going into has a pretty decent runway as well. So we'll go ahead and get on into the aircraft so we can get out of Queenstown and get this flight underway. Welcome on board the TBM, everyone. We're on the ramp here at Queenstown. We're about ready to taxi, but ready to start our flight here in FSEconomy. So you can see the aircraft on the ground and available. We'll go ahead and go to the flight page and start flight. Let's make sure our 6 passengers are on board. They are, so we can go ahead and hide the client now, get it out of the way. You can see where we are on the ramp. Basically just have to kind of taxi over and then make a right out to the runway. The wind looks like it's coming out of the east. Runways available at Queenstown are runway 1230, so runway 12 is probably what we're going to take. We'll just have to back taxi a little bit, turn around, and go full length. Today I think we're going to be cruising at 27,000 feet on the way up. Actually, that should be 28,000 feet on the way up. Just under the service ceiling of the TBM, so we'll be going up nice and high and hopefully nice and fast as well. So we'll just get the last couple things set up here before we start our taxi, and then we can get underway. Let's just set the bearing to GPS. We got our source to FMS. We'll turn on all the speed bugs there. They are pretty nice and handy, and other than that I think we're okay. We basically know what we're doing as far as taxiing, so we can actually go ahead and zoom this map out. That way I don't forget. We got our inertial separator on. We'll go ahead and go taxi lights on now, and we'll release our parking brake and start our taxi out to the runway. Making sure we're clear all the way over here, so we're going to go just make a slight right, and then you can kind of see this first right here is what we're going to take, and then we'll do a right onto the runway, go all the way to the end, turn around, and be ready for takeoff hopefully. Weather seems pretty calm, but hearing a decent amount of thunder. Seen a little bit of lightning as well as we've been sitting on the ramp getting ready to go. So hopefully everything stays relatively calm for us on this departure anyways. We'll go ahead and set up the flight director. At this point, we'll activate a heading mode, and we'll go for a vertical speed mode, 1,500 feet per minute initially. We have our flaps down and everything, so the aircraft's pretty well configured for takeoff. Looks clear over there to the left. Looks clear on y'all's side as well. We don't have to go very far just to turn around. We'll go ahead and hold here though just to verify. There's that thunder. So it is clear off on y'all's side. Looks clear on my side as well. So let's go ahead and take the runway. And then, like I said, we'll make a right here, go full length, and turn around. Really help ourselves, just give ourselves the most room we really possibly can. It's a longer flight today, but in the TBM, I think it should be less than 3 hours in the air. As long as we have some decent winds. No crazy headwinds along the way. Really getting to enjoy the mountains around here. Kind of enjoyed them on the way in, but they look much more impressive. We're sitting here on the ground for whatever reason. Alright, so we'll turn around here and be ready for takeoff. We're going to be looking for 90 knots for our VR speed. That's where we'll try and rotate. We'll get our gear up and our flaps up, and then we're going to go for a climb out at around 125 knots. I'll probably try and use the flight level change mode today. Go ahead and come up here. Let's go landing light on. This is a bit of a shorter runway, so we're going to hold here and bring the power up. Let's release the brakes. Airspeed is alive. Looking for 90 knots. Just holding center line here. 70. There's 80. And there's 90 knots. Rotate. Alright, we have a positive rate. Let's just dab the brakes a little bit there. Pull the gear up. Let's go ahead and get the yaw damper on. Helps if I actually click it. We'll get our flaps up. Alright, so we're just holding on about 120 right now in our climb out. Let's keep getting some altitude, try and kind of trim the airplane a little bit more. We'll go ahead and go for flight level change mode. We'll activate that. We'll set it on over tipping the ITT right there. We'll set it on, let's see, 125. And let's start our left turn. We need to get the inertial separator off. We're in some clear air. Everything should be fine. That'll help cool the aircraft down a little bit. We'll start our left turn. And we'll go ahead and arm nav mode at this point. Still hand flying. That's why the airplane's getting a little bit ahead of me at the moment. Just look out the window though. That's absolutely beautiful. Start pulling the power back as the inertial separator kind of comes off. It's letting more air through the engine, so it's making more power. That torque setting's going to start climbing up, so just need to keep our eyes on that, not let that get over. Just came back to see just a little bit of lightning there. Wave goodbye to Queenstown. That is a beautiful view. Look at that little tiny airport down there. It's crazy, we're already so much higher than it. Go ahead and kind of capture our flight director here, and let's engage the autopilot. See if flight level change mode is still really pitch sensitive, and guess what? It is. So we'll activate a vertical speed mode instead, and we'll go to 2100 feet per minute. Should be a good climb rate. Just double checking. The engine looks okay. Our temps are better now. Yeah, that was just poorly managed by me on that departure, but fortunately we got on top of it pretty quick, so about to be through 10,000 feet. It's getting a little bit bumpy up here. And we should be capturing our nav mode any moment now, if it's actually going to pick up on it. Let's see. There it goes. Alright, so we are turning on course. 10,500 for flight level 280. Absolutely beautiful. We need to bring our vertical speed down a little bit. It's one of the reasons I want to stay on a flight level change mode, because I don't have to worry about it so much at that point. We just hold our airspeed, but yeah, you could see how much the aircraft was oscillating the second I put it into flight level change mode, so that's going to be a no-go. Kind of look like some mean angry clouds that we're going to be going through on the way up. Hopefully we can cruise on top of them though. And we can see how much the wind has picked up. About 290 at almost 30 knots already. Hopefully we can get that a little bit behind us. I wouldn't necessarily care so much if it just stayed on our side the entire way there, but yeah, if it could be behind us a little bit, that would be fantastic. Let's go ahead and zoom our map out a little bit more. Make sure we're on our MFD there, and we'll scroll this the other way. So we'll try and increase our climb rate just a little bit more. I'm gonna go try and get back to 2,000 feet a minute. We have about 13,000 feet left in our climb. That's already a pretty substantial headwind. In front of us, you can see our true airspeed's 190 knots. Our ground speed is sitting at 168 knots. So we'll see how it kind of changes as we go through or get into the flight levels and start working our way through them. Pull the power back just a little bit as we continue climbing. Normally I think I'd want to try and find a hole in the clouds, but I think today we're just going to punch right through it and see what happens. If we start seeing any kind of ice or anything like that, we're just going to flick all those switches on. It's a nice lightning strike off to our left there. I don't know if they patched it or what, but I'm kind of glad that we don't hear the thunder as prominently as we did in some of the previous flights. Like while in the airplane going full blast, you just hear a bang of thunder as if it, you know, you're standing out on your patio or something watching a storm. You can still hear it every now and then, but it's nowhere near as prominent. That was perfect timing. Alright, so we are 19,000 for flight level 280. Less than 10,000 feet to go. It is very stormy here in front of us. It's actually really cool. Wonder if we could pull up the weather. And it just shows light. Well, now we are starting to get a little bit of ice. You can see on the windows, getting a little bit on the wings as well. So let's go ahead and hit the windshield ice. We'll hit the prop de-ice, and we'll hit the airframe de-ice as well. And see it melting away off the windows. Keep pushing through and try and climb up above all of this. It's clearing up on the wing. There's a little bit on the whatever you call that, the cover for the weather radar out there. And I think this would be a inertial separator moment as well. Reduce our rate of climb to 1,500 feet per minute. You can see how much that iced up right there. It's icing on the wingtips as well. But it's actually pretty wild. But it seems like you get icing in any kind of moisture in the sim. We got the inertial separator on. You see how much the power, I didn't actually touch the power at all, but that's just how much it lowered down. So we have 4,000 feet to go. Still a decent amount of ice. I don't know if it's actually building anymore. That looks like that's a pretty interesting cloud to get into on our right side there. I don't think we're going to be able to climb completely above this stuff, so we'll probably be going through it for the first part of our flight. It should clear up as we continue off to the north, though. And the wind is coming, it's slowly coming more and more just directly on our side, which is just fine. I just really don't want to fight a 40-knot headwind all the way to Botswana if we can avoid it. I think that ice is kind of reducing. It looks like it's getting a little bit better. It's still on the... it looks like it's reducing on our kind of winglet as well, so... we'll keep everything working just in case. Looks like it's a pretty decent storm off to our right. A little bit calmer, just some nice friendly looking clouds full of ice off to our left. But we are about 1,000 feet to go. And once we level out here, we'll keep the power setting in. Let's see if we can get some good airspeed out of the TBM today, and hopefully get on past these storms ASAP. Makes it interesting, if nothing else, that's for sure. Alright, so the autopilot's starting to capture 28,000. Oh, that looks real bad now. It looks like there's even more ice out there on the wing. It's like actually on the wing. Alright. It's bad over there on the right too. Yes, it is. The leading edge is still fine. It's where we have the anti-ice working. Less than ideal. Probably want to deviate off to the left a little bit, but like I said, I kind of just want to punch through it and see what happens. So we may end up as an ice cube here, but we're gonna press on. All right, went ahead and climbed up to 30,000 feet. We're almost at the service ceiling of the TBM. Our plane is basically a ice cube, popsicle, something along those lines. But we're gonna keep pushing through, like I said, and just kind of hopefully it all works out. It looks like it is clearing up. You can see on the radar, it starts getting below us. That's why I decided to climb up to 30,000, and hopefully it'll clear up. And leading edge, all the anti-ice stuff looks like it's working for the most part. It's actually kind of cool to see the boots inflate on the leading edge when they do. But yeah, we do have a decent amount of ice we picked up, and hopefully it will clear up as we continue off to the north. There the boots go. Look at that, that's really cool. I think the inside one's gonna do it. Yep, that's pretty neat. So yeah, it's for fun anyways. We're in the sim, might as well enjoy the fact that we're in the sim and try and make stuff like this work. So about 306 knots across the ground. We got a about 34 knot crosswind, a little bit of headwind component, but we're in the cruise now for a nice lengthy flight, and hopefully it does look like the weather will be clearing, or at least calming down a little bit as we continue off to the north now. Just checking in, we went up to 30,000 feet. You can see we're getting out of the last bit of the clouds. It's nice and clear off to the north of us now, and our aircraft is no longer an ice cube. It is cleaned up nicely. So we're turning, we're gonna get actually a little bit of a tailwind, hopefully, out of this. And also we were able to go ahead and turn off all of our anti-ice stuff, like I said, as the aircraft kind of cleaned up, and we no longer have to deal with that. It was kind of interesting there for a little bit, but a beautiful scenery from up here at 30,000 feet looking down. So we're continuing on our way now. We've got a good track in front of us to our next fix, so hopefully we'll settle in here. We're doing about 326, 25-ish knots across the ground. So about an hour till our next point. We'll sit back, relax, enjoy the views, and yeah, hopefully it's smooth sailing from here. We are direct to the airport now, about 253 nautical miles. We're looking at just under 45 minutes until we're there. We're still at 30,000 feet. You can see how clear the weather is up here. Scenery is beautiful, and the TBM is clicking along nicely. We're almost doing 340 knots across the ground. We do have a little bit of a tailwind helping us out, but it's really not that much. It's about 4 knots, 5 knots on the tail, so still it's better on the tail than it is on the nose. Nice to see that the weather did clear up as we continued up to the north. Definitely was It was interesting, but a little bit sketchy there for a little bit. The first phase of our flight, we still have about 100 gallons of Jet A on board, so we're totally fine on that front as well. Runways available to us are 2709er, so the wind right now doesn't really mean a whole lot. We're still a long way out and we're at 30,000 feet, but it is coming out of the southwest, so and the runway is pointed directly west-east, so we'll kind of see whenever we get a little bit closer, but right now just general thinking would be runway 27. We'll start looking at our descent a little bit once we're quite a bit closer, probably in about 30 minutes or so, maybe just a little bit less. Field elevation is about 3,400 feet, so we need to kind of factor that in. We're not going all the way down to sea level. We'll only be descending down, you know, a little bit less than 27,000 feet instead of the full 30,000 feet all the way down to the airport. But we're going to go ahead and sit back, relax, enjoy some more of the scenery, and just let the TBM kind of do its thing and click the miles down. We'll be back to get the descent underway shortly. Alright, we're just about to come up on 15 minutes out of our destination. We're looking at 86 nautical miles. So if I wanted to go, if we were going to hold this airspeed all the way down 15 minutes, 2,000 feet a minute, that'd get us 30,000 feet. But we do have a field elevation, like I said before, of about 3,400 feet. So we want to go ahead and go past that just a little bit, probably at least 2 minutes longer. And then also factoring for the fact that we're going to lose airspeed as we start our descent, as well as we start getting lower and lower. So looking at about 13 minutes for the start of our descent, and that's actually probably, we're going to shoot more like 12 minutes, maybe just a little bit under that. So we're going to keep going here for just a little bit before we start our descent, but we're also going to go ahead and plan at the moment for runway 27. You can see the wind has gotten a little bit stronger and out of the west. Once again, we're at 30,000 feet, so it definitely could change as we get lower, but we're going to go ahead and plug that in just so we are set up for it if it all kind of remains the same as we start our way down. So 14 and a half to go. We'll start our descent here in about 2 minutes or so. Till then, just kind of chilling. Just past under 12 minutes to destination as far as our estimated time is concerned, so we're going to start our vertical engage our vertical speed mode here and start our descent. Easy enough for me to say. So we're going to go for 2,000 feet per minute, and we're going to pull this power on back, try and hold up to about 220, I'd say, on the descent. Don't want to get much crazier than that though. So we're starting our way down, and just kind of briefly talk about our approach in. We'll see what the wind looks like as we start to get lower, but we are initially planning for runway 27. Our approach speed today is going to be around 85 knots, is what I'm going to be shooting for. Gear can come down and approach flaps can come down at 178, and we can go full flaps at 122. Should be in the white arc on our airspeed whenever we get down that way. So we're at 28,000 now. I went ahead and put in 4,400 in the altitude bug, so that will be our initial altitude to try and get down to about 1,000 feet over the elevation of, or 1,000 feet over the airport. But yeah, other than that, we're just going to start our way down, make sure we don't overspeed the thing or anything like that. Just looking at the planes out here. We got, just hop over into the other seat. Some nice marshlands down there, it looks like. Very, very different kind of scenery, but yeah, exploring is always fun. So 26,000 feet for 4,400. starting our way down. Be getting into the approach phase before too long. Alright, we have just about 10,000 feet to go in our descent. You can see we're right on 5 minutes from our destination, so 2,000 feet per minute. 5 minutes, 10,000 feet, we're at about 14,000 feet. Everything's looking like it is right about on schedule, basically, I guess is what I'd say. We can also see that the wind completely changed. It is now out of the east, 7 knots as we're getting lower, so we're going to go ahead and change our plan. We'll go back to changing our heading bug here, and we'll change it to 090. And yeah, that's going to be, I guess, our best bet into the field, and we'll see if it kind of swaps directions again as we continue on down. We're looking at just about 19 nautical miles. Don't have anything in sight off in the distance, but it's a decent sized runway that we're looking for, but I think it's a pretty small field, not a whole lot of ramp or anything to kind of help us locate it. We're doing about 220 indicated. Ground speeds come down to 272 just because we're getting lower and lower. Really nothing too crazy there. I do think we'll probably take over manual control and basically fly a bit of a pattern into the field as well, so I'm not going to worry too much about the airspeed just yet. Looking at 3.5 minutes, 10,600 feet for 4,400. We'll go ahead and get our landing light on, and we'll come down and get our inertial separator on as well. Also, take this time real quick to just kind of zoom our map in and help us out a little bit once we're starting our approach in anyways. So we can see the river here on our map and everything, and it looks like the field is right up along it. You can kind of see it snaking through there a little bit. And it looks like the field is on the west side. Alright, inertial separator's on. Almost gives me a little bit of a heart attack every single time the master caution comes on for the inertial separator. It takes so long. I wind up forgetting. Add a bit of power in here. Keep about 220 if we can. We still have a decent amount of fuel on board, so I didn't completely mess it up on guessing how much fuel we were going to need for the flight. I wanted to give us at least an hour extra, and it looks like that is just about what we still have on board. We got about 59 gallons left. It's right around an hour. Seven nautical miles. We really should have it in sight by now. You guys see it? Let me know, because I don't. I think it's right here. But it's a little tiny. I can see it down on the display. Yeah, I think that's the runway right there. There's a nice little build-up of buildings and stuff around. So we'll go ahead and take over manual control. I'll kick the yaw damper off as well. And we'll bring the plane around to the left. Fly a bit of a pattern in for runway 09er here. Take a look at all those trees out there. That's a nice clear day here. There's like some flat plains or something going on. Most of my knowledge from Botswana simply comes from a Top Gear episode where they did a Botswana special. That was probably one of the coolest episodes I've actually seen. One of my favorite specials for sure. You should check it out, especially if you're a Top Gear fan and you've never seen it, or Grand Tour, or just a fan of those three. They are quite awesome. I love all their stuff. We're flying west, we're getting below 178. Let's go ahead and drop that gear. Get it down. Make sure it is locked. Alright, gear is down. We got 3 green lights. So we'll continue flying outbound here for just a moment. I'm gonna try and hold around 4,500 feet and keep the speed. We can keep it up, just keep it below 178 if we can. We'll start to the right now. At least with the runway running directly east-west, it makes flying the pattern pretty darn easy. You just fly the cardinal directions. So I'm going to need to spot the field here pretty darn quick when we roll out on the north heading. Well, that's not encouraging at all. I do not have the field in sight. It was over by those buildings, so let's... Maybe that's the runway? That might be the runway right there. I don't know if you guys can see it on my mouse, but I think that is the runway, so we're going to start turning. Oh, watch our pitch there. I do camera, work the mouse, fly the controls. There's a lot of stuff going on. So we're turning right to 090. I think we overshot for sure, but I do think we have the field in sight. Yes, that's got to be the runway. Okay, so we did overshoot. Took me too long to get the field in sight, but we are on final now. So let's go ahead and get our approach flaps out. It's a bit of a teardrop to final here, but that's all right. Let's pull the power on back. We need to get down to about 122, go full flaps, and we don't have to worry about it too much after that. Just fly 85 down to the runway. We are on final, runway 09. 130. There's 122, go full flaps. This looks like a nice narrow runway. Always makes it a little bit more challenging. Looking for 85 knots. Get the power back in a little bit. Myself a little bit of trim, help out. 5 knots, basically directly down the runway. It's nice because this is narrow, and that would be even more challenging. Right on about 88 knots, that's just fine. Focus in a little bit, this runway seems super narrow. Coming in a little bit high. Pull the power out. Kind of snaking left and right on the way in here. Alright. Pull the power to idle. And let's flare. The nose down, nice and gentle. Try and hold center line. We have a turnoff coming up to the left. I guess this is the only ramp here. Little turnoff to the left. So we'll start getting on the brakes. Make sure we slow down enough to make it without having to turn around. Well, welcome to Botswana, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the flight. A bit of a longer one today. I know I am gonna condense it down. I don't think you guys would want to watch a 3-hour flight. Mostly just me looking around out the window, but I hope you all did enjoy. I want to continue exploring, just kind of taking random jobs and not really trying to stick to an area in the TBM. I think it's a great airplane for it, just because it is so fast, and it makes it a little bit easier to kind of do the flights like this, where you just hop in and you know, you're doing 340 knots to your destination, so it doesn't really matter if it's a little bit of a longer one. So we'll go ahead and pull off the ramp here, ignoring the ground crew as always. And we'll just point the aircraft back. We'll park up here. Let's go ahead and get our client up. And you can see it thinks that we're at Queenstown. I will hit the parking brake, turn off that alarm, and it changes now. The aircraft is no longer in flight, and our job has been completed. So we'll go ahead and hide that client there. Like I said, I hope you all enjoyed the flight. I really do enjoy having you guys along for each and every one. So I want to continue exploring with this plane. We're in Africa right now. Obviously, there's a ton to explore here, so I'm looking forward to doing some more of that and hope to have you all along for more flights in the future. If you did enjoy this one, make sure to give it a like and subscribe if you want to see more content as always. And until next time, bye-bye.